well. So we have already seen, we should know that all these things of whence of the burial of dead had taken place some 3,300 years ago, or more than that. Now we have seen how the wind stirred as the dead body was being carried for being scanned. Now the writer says, all afternoon the usual line of tourists from around the world had descended into the cramped rock-cut tomb, some 26 feet underground, to pay their respects. Now that tomb was a rock-cut tomb. And how strongly built it was, because it was in fact a rock in which the tomb has been made by cutting the rock, not by joining the slabs, etc. It was a rock cut tomb. And 26 feet underground, and tourists kept visiting that tomb to see. They gazed at the murals on the walls of the burial chamber and peered at Tud's glided face. The most striking feature of his mummy-shaped outer coffin lid. His face was there, glided on the coffin lid, visible. It was from there. Some visitors read from guidebooks in a whisper. What did they read? They read. Others, what did they read? That there was a curse. What was the curse? That whoever would disturb that, I have already told this in my previous videos, that whoever would disturb that, he would either die or suffer. So from the guidebooks they read and whispered. Others stood silently, perhaps pondering, thinking, that's untimely death. I have already said that was to be found out whether how did he die and when did he die. Why? Well, that's untimely death in his latter teens. Latter teens means from 13 teens begin, 13, 14, 15, 16, and then 17, 18, 19, this can be called latter teens. Now, you see, others stood silently, perhaps pondering Tud's untimely death in his late teens, or wondering with a shudder if the Pharaoh's curse, death, or misfortune falling upon those who disturbed him was true. Some of the tourists, of course, were afraid also whether lest some misfortune befall them. The mummy is in very bad condition because of what Carter did in 1920, said Jai was Secretary General of Egypt's Supreme Council of Antiquities. Antiquities means ancient things. As he leaned over the body for a long first look, he looked at the body because it was going for being scanned. and Jehoash, the secretary of the antiquities of Egypt, was afraid lest some damage happen to the body of that which had been already damaged by uh, Carter, Howard Carter in 1920. Howard Carter, that is, was the British archaeologist who in 1920 to discover that storm after years of futile searching. His, its contents though hastily ransacked and antiquity were surprisingly complete. Or a fabulous wealth had been buried with debt, and thieves were searching for that tomb even in the ancient times, but they failed to locate it, and that had been found by Howard Carter. And there was a list of the things that had been buried, and surprisingly, all those things were found there by Howard Carter. Now, they remain the richest royal collection ever found and have become part of the Pharaoh's legend. So that was what was there. And they remain the richest royal collection ever found and have become part of the Pharaoh's legend of stunning artifacts in gold, their eternal brilliance meant to guarantee a resurrection. A resurrection among the Semitic people, means religions, they believe in resurrection, that is called Qayamat in Urdu. Means there will be a day when all those who have died will be again brought to life. Alright? So, what is the significance of saying this thing here? The significance is that whatever was buried was brought out, and the gold was quite brilliant. You know, gold doesn't rust. Gold was brilliant. Okay, in next video. Thank you.